Welcome, episode 39, and today we are with the man, the myth, the legend himself. We're going to be talking all things about how a service-driven mindset will influence your success and your growth. But first off, I'm Tyler Willis Media. Peyton, what you got going on over there nowadays?
Guys, it's Peyton Peoples with Peyton Peoples and Company, Keller Williams Realty Atlanta.
I'm Megan with Cross Country out of Peachtree City. We're Pets and Homes Girl.
I'm Christian.
Nice.
Cross Country,
but you're so much more than just that, man. Megan, I have a quick question before we get started. What do you have on your head today, Miss Hats? What are we repping?
It is.
Look at that.
Hat. Available for purchase.
Oh, man.
Right.
I am digging the swag.
I love it.
Digging the swag.
I love it.
All right, Peyton.
It's perfect.
I've heard of it too.
I've heard of that place.
Peyton,
Yeah. Have you?
Bingo.
Might be part of my
I'm
business
talking about. Peyton,
make
so who's
you
our
know.
special guest? And I could go on and on about him, but I'll let you kick it off since he's in your office all day.
He is. He's right upstairs. So
I'm the big brother she's always
that's
wanted.
correct. That is correct. Yes. The sibling rivalry.
That weird word, yeah.
Rivalry.
Why can't I speak words?
Rivalry.
That one. It's a real thing here. So Jake is joining us today. This is Jake Smith. He is one of our co-team leaders with his wife here in our Peachtree City office with Keller Williams Realty Atlanta Partners. And Jake has a amazing gift of speaking to people, inspiring people, and helping people understand. He's really good at asking the right questions and helping people just dig deeper and figuring out why you might feel a way about something or why you were just having such a problem working through something. I thought it was really important to have Jake on because he has a really great way of communicating and helping people focus around what mindset is, why it's important, and how it is going to directly impact your growth in your business or just in your life if you don't have a business and you're just listening because you want to. So, Jake, what's up?
Like that introduction.
Who this guy?
Is there somebody else?
Who's here?
Who's she talking? Normally she's on me like, you can do better.
That's awesome.
That's right.
That's why I love her. No. Yeah, so just a little backstory on me. I've been in real estate since 2019. Before that, I've been in business years and years ago and ran a heavy equipment. Did that for several years, finally got my break to be a fireman. Did that for around 13 so years as a firefighter and a paramedic. And then got to the point to where was looking for something a little bit different. Share a little bit of that, Tyler, with the photography, got into real estate that way. And someone, I don't know if it was a compliment or not, so, hey, you should totally try actually selling the real estate. And I'm like, give it a shot. So that's how I got here. Started out on a team and got into business really quick. Started out as a buyer's agent working part-time. That lasted for probably about 4 months. And then I gave up my state pension, everything. And then the first 14 months of my career, I sold 54 properties. Just a big deal, but probably the real superstar is my wife. She was outpacing me all day, twice on Sunday. But anyway, so I got into it. I had the opportunity. I loved selling real estate. It was fun. It was great to do. Quickly brought me back to the fire service where my bucket is filled when I see people grow. People have life that shows up every day. What's the old saying? Everything's going great till you get punched in the mouth. And if you just wait around long enough, it's going to happen. So started a coaching company, had the opportunity to get into leadership, started a coaching company. In the first 12 months, grew it to about 86 agents. We did just at $54 million in volume, which netted about $1.3 million back to Agent GCI after it was all said and done. How much I had to do with that? Not really a lot. Anybody that knows me, a big guy on community. I feel like that's what's wrong with this country in general. I don't care where you're at, where you're from. I don't care any of that. It doesn't matter to me, right? It's just building a community where people can thrive. We all have different beliefs. We have different whatever, but it's all about just growing people and creating a space for people to thrive. And then got the opportunity to go in and co-host. I say co-host with my wife, but really in essence, I'm just her secretary, which is good.
Iron wheel.
So
it works.
Yeah, it works. So yeah, that's how I am here. I love the topic a little bit. How would y'all like to get into the topic a little bit?
Do it.
Yeah.
What is mindset? Why is that important? What does that look like?
I think mindset to me is really, well, I have a couple of beliefs, right? Like my faith is probably up and foremost, the most important part of my day. Like it's how I get started. But when it goes into mindset for me, really how you're showing up. And the reality of it is, we said it before and I'll say it again, like life's going to punch you in the mouth. And you don't get an opportunity to say, you know what, I didn't want that to happen today. Like that was not on my agenda. I didn't want that to happen today. But every one of us gets a singular choice of how we react to it. And that reaction is all about that. That's where mindset comes in, is waking up every day that I'm going to find the positive in something. I'm going to figure out the small wins. I'm going to keep continuously driving forward. Because at the end of the day, it's not just me. There's people that are counting on you. There's people that are counting on all of us in this room. Mm-hmm. So how you show up, how you act, how you treat people, it's a direct reflection on how successful you will become. Mm-hmm. And moving into taking that into all of our businesses. I can't think of any mortgage, real estate. I don't care what it is. If you're working at Target, being service driven is probably the singular most important thing you can do. Like people look at these elaborate schemes like my marketing ploy and all the things that I do. Mm-hmm. And if people just don't love and believe in you as a person, you're out of gas. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line. So that's a little bit of what mindset is to me. It's not just a daily occurrence. It's okay to have moments. It's not okay to be stuck in those moments while the others that depend on you are watching you slowly crumble. Mm-hmm. Be the better person. Step up. Accept responsibility. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yeah. I think a lot of that is where a lot of people figure it probably gets lost on a lot of people, because I think when people hear the word mindset or just being positive about things, they mix that with toxic positivity of you just having to always ignore all the negative that could or would or will be happening. I think that's, if anything is taken from today, is that's the exact opposite of what we're talking about. It's having a positive that when that shit happens to you, you're ready to face it and it's not completely paralyzing you. And it's very different than the toxic positivity that a lot of people think, I think, when they think mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look at, instead of ignoring it or thinking that like everything, in my opinion, to each their own where people get their motivation from. But like you go to the most extreme of extremes, like David Goggins, right? Every day is not a David Goggins moment. But there's one thing unique that people like that do, and it's embrace the suck, embrace the hard. When reality is there, you take it, you face it, you realize I'm not perfect. Guys, I probably made 3 or 4 mistakes this morning, and I plan on making a bunch more. Because at the end of the day, that is how winning happens. Is that's the reality. So I agree with what Peyton's saying. It's not every day I wake up and it's a TikTok video. Mm-hmm. That's not what it's about. It's like life happens. You know, let's get on it. Let's go. It is what it is. And when you're time to take those moments, my big thing about that is you need to have somebody in your corner, whether that's a spouse or some they need more than that. Me and Steph are together, but people that she can call, like, this happened. This is how I showed up. I want to get better. You've got to have those people that help you consistently keep your mindset tracked. And if you don't, like, it's a constant battle. So yeah, showing up, facing it, realizing it's going to happen, and let's go. It doesn't. That's probably the biggest thing.
What are some of either books that you've read or people that you listen to that have been like your favorite things that have really helped put you where you are now?
I watch TikTok all day. I'm just kidding. No,
I do.
Yeah, I'm usually watching your TikTok.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, probably the biggest, the book that I'm rereading again right now, and I'm about halfway through, for me, is Atomic Habits. That's the one. I think I actually got Yeah, I've got a couple here that I give away. Sometimes when I meet people, these are like my giveaway books. But Atomic Habits is probably one of the biggest ones. It's just like taking certain habits, like it's crazy. So I'm back on my health journey now. Like it's coming up. I'm gonna have to get my second knee replacement. I had my first one at 40, and I'm having my second one hopefully by the end of this year. So we'll see. October 31st is my appointment. So y'all pray for me. But I'm back on this health journey, and it's crazy. It's like it gets up, and to start doing it. I always wanted to meditate. What are people like doing to like really get in the zone with this stuff, right? So I made a commitment. I'm like, hey, if I start getting up, then that affords me the right to start being able to buy an app to do whatever. So like now I'm on day like 9 of getting up every morning. Like I'm an early riser. Not saying that's for everybody. Like, and I'm okay with that. But like I'm an early riser. 4:45, me and Steph are up and getting the day going. I started doing this meditation thing, and it's the habit stacking that it talks about in the book. It's incredible. And then all of a sudden you miss that one thing, and now in your mind you're no longer just missing that one thing. It's the 3 sequential things that happen behind it.
Yeah.
That like I've screwed my whole day up. Yeah. So Atomic Habits is big for me. I'm a big Ed Milet fan. I like the guy that kind of come from. He's a boisterous. I get that, but just somebody that was. I've had the opportunity. I think Peyton was in the room too. Had the opportunity to hear some of his struggles of having an alcoholic father and how he protected his mom and his sisters and grew into the man that he was. It's great. Ed Milet is probably a big one. Recently, he's got a podcast. I don't remember which episode it was. It's within the last probably 2 to 3 weeks that talks about shortening your days and times to make time slow down mentally, to be able to live in the moment and not want to do this and this, because I tell you what, boy, in 3 years, I'm going to be living on a beach. It's great. Like stop not focusing on the journey, because the journey that you're on in certain things defines like that. That's where it happens. That's the meat of the order. So it's like the things that you go through. So it's like learning to sit back and slow down. So for me, that's how that kind of start with habit stacking, talking to him about like, I get off, like I'm a big Peloton guy, just with broken up old athlete, call it like what you want.
Yep.
Peyton gets that joke.
He's a D1 athlete.
Yeah. Former 48 years ago. Nah, seems like it's been. Anyway, yeah, but just doing that. So getting off the bike at Peloton and then just doing 10 minutes of just like meditation. And it's crazy the things that like, whether it's blessings, whether it's like motivation, or it's been a cool journey. Yeah. Atomic Habits is probably the biggest one. The Energy Clock is another great one. It's a huge book for me. Ed Milet podcast, and then my random David Goggins when I really need to wake up and do something.
I got
hard.
one. So do you track anything? Do you keep it written? Do you have an app that you write all your gratitudes in? What does that part look like to where like you're having a hard day and you can look back on something?
Yeah. So a lot of it, I don't track the gratitudes as much as I used to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, Todd. Like for me, it's really, if I'm focusing on the activities and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in the mornings, like the rest of the day shows up. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like my wife, like one of our things, like we're pretty open book about how our days go. But for us, we're morning people. And I think people get so combined. I'm not a morning person. I'll never be able to do that. Great. If you wake up at 1 o'clock, let 1 o'clock be your 5 a.m. Like be the 1 p.m. club. Everyone talks about the 5 a.m. club. Be a 1. No one gives a shit. Do what does you, but don't not do the activities. Keep living in a mediocrity of a world and expect different results from just, oh, that's not for me. I'll never do. Stop being mediocre. So for me, to get back to your question, like we get up every morning and we have a routine, right? My wife takes the pups out, or the one now we're practicing for number 2. That's an entirely different podcast and problem she has. So anyway, so she takes them out and brings coffee up during the week. So then we have like our prayer time together, and then she does like a gratitude journal, which I used to do before. And she really likes that. For me, it's like the moment, like If I don't get up and don't go downstairs and don't work out and don't go through my meditation and my prayer time, that's when I like you can tell people that are around me all the time. Like I see you guys, but I don't see y'all as much as Peyton's a few feet from me at times during the week. But she can tell like when I'm just off, like I'm getting, and that's usually a direct relation to I'm not continuing with the habits that create positivity in my world. So I like it, like my wife does it, but I just don't write it down.
I think a lot of that is the practice of building the habit. And once the habit is built, then it creates what you're talking about of the, now if I don't do it, it's going to directly impact the rest of my day. And I know a lot of people who, like Steph, like his wife, who the habit is doing the activity, like actually writing. And that might be a subtopic of the differences between men and women, but it's just to actually sit there and write it all down versus Jake's more the activity of doing it. So yeah. I think it's more of just the habit, of just as long as you're doing it. And
I think when it comes down to it, the way I look at it, Tyler, I like that perspective. Maybe there is like a difference between the way men and women like that, but like I know for me, it's more impactful for me as a person. And I think that's my biggest thing is get in where you fit in on your day. But for somebody like me, if I called you every day, Peyton, I appreciate you, like whatever, great, awesome. And I do that competitive, like whenever I stop doing it, she's going to notice it. I'm going to notice it. My spirit will notice it. My heart will, she will. But I don't need to go back and go, hold on a sec. Yep, last Tuesday I did. For some, it works, right? And my wife, like that, she's big on that, right? Like gratitude, what she's thankful for, just simple stuff. But yeah, to me, it's just living
and so
in the
here's
moment.
one. So say you get off of your routine. How can you quickly get yourself back into a mindset of going, hey, I see that I haven't done X and I've got to do that again? Because so many of us, we get not stuck, but we start a habit, something happens, and then we forgo doing that for weeks and months, and it throws us off. So how can you tell whenever you've gotten off, and how do you get yourself back on?
Yeah, when I'm getting off, here's the great part about it, right? When you're off, no one knows but you, right? So here's my question to you is, who is that one person in your world that's keeping that accountable? That's the simple way. There's not an app like, bing, oh, I got to
get my shit together. Damn.
Yeah, there it is. I'm so grateful that I'm paying $7.99 a month for this app.
That's right.
That I look at it and my shit goes together. So to answer your question, just respond with a question is do you have somebody in your world that's holding you accountable at a high level? Again, I get to know you. I'm sorry I use Peyton as a lot of examples.
Throw me under the bus. That's fine.
No, I'm around her all the time. I know I've had some great conversations with her. You got to have that person in your world that will check you when you need to be checked. And it's not like there's a time I'm like, hey, that's a great thing. There's also a time like it's never happened with us, but if she asked me to be that person, she knows I would deliver it at a high level. But I get it. Everything looks hunky dory on the outside, or social media, or all the things you got to do for 2 years.
Yep.
Like it's time to check your shit and get back to what you know. Mm-hmm. Like that's what it's about. And to be honest with you, I think that person can show up for different areas. Some people, like spouse wise, that's just not your person. Not for extreme accountability. For me, it totally is. Like my wife will wake up in the morning and I'm like, because I've had the days, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this. Really? We're just going to sit in that. That's all she has to do. You're just going to, like, we're good with that. That's the decision. Yeah, you're right. Like she doesn't have to do it. Now she's that accountability person and I am for her, but there's other aspects. I will never be a coach for her. That does not work for us. But yeah, so sorry, I like to talk a lot. But I guess to answer your question is you got to have somebody got to have an accountability partner, because no one's that person that can check you is the person that's going to bring you back in the
I see you raises her hand.
Like that was
my hand is raised.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to tell me.
No, just question. I love the positivity factor and the accountability factor, and Peyton, ever since I've known her, has been a big one in my life, especially with all the shit I've been through this past year. Your outlook, I take the same, because you never know what life can throw at you, and you can sit in it. I just got over, still going through it, the checkups, but cancer, like we beat cancer. And so one of my big inspirations was have you heard of the Iron Cowboy?
Hit me.
James Lawrence.
I need to know.
So he did 100 Ironmans in 100 days. And wrote a book on it.
Oh, wow.
Everything he went through, broke his back. Crap's crazy. But he got up and chose to do it every single day. So my mindset through cancer was like, and Peyton remembers this because she was like, how the hell are you? Like, I got 2 little kids and a husband, and he can't tie hair bows, so I don't have a choice. Like, I got to fight this crap. And every day it was just positivity. So like and that was like the moment that I was like, okay, I can accept this and beat this crap, or I can just give up and lay in bed. I'm back to doing CrossFit now because I chose to fight. So what was it in that moment that where you were like, I'm going to do something and make a difference with my life and use this to inspire people and speak to people and all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. By the way, kudos. I don't get to talk to you a lot, but like super proud. I follow your journey through social media and stuff. Way to go after it and kick its ass, dude. Like, you got fans where you don't even know you had fans. Kudos to that. I think for me, like, my big thing is in the current, there's probably a bunch of different aspects of that. I think it all started with me in the fire service. There's a big, the 80-20 principle, I guess is the way I look at it. And I always wanted to be put in that time frame to where if something really bad was going on in your life, am I the person that's going to stop or mitigate that situation? Sometimes I was, but I'm sure I felt short too in other areas. Moving into the most recent phases of mine is into selling real estate. It was not easy, but I enjoyed me and my wife getting out there, and you can do well at selling it. We all know what you can do. But for me, it was, I guess, to answer your question, I looked around and there's people in a building and like 180 of them are walking around like, where do I go next? And I'm like, there has to be a better way to really do that. And it took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of like commitment, because you don't know when you're getting paid anymore. Like, that's just the bottom line. For me, it's just wanting to be a difference into other people around me. I could sell $80 million a year in real estate and would not fill my bucket up, not even remotely close to the same of watching agents like, hey, I'm a single mom and it changed my world. I want to be able to provide health care. I'm a single dad. Let's not leave. We all know the moments. But it's the people that are down and then looking for another thing, and like society and communities and everything give up on them. And that to me was like, I just like, again, am I the best at it? Hell no, I don't have any pot. I don't know. I could be in this building for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that as long as I keep driving in a direction to see people around me and my community changing. That's what it's all about. So I hope that answered your question maybe a little bit. Like, but in real estate, that was the big, like, you're in mortgage. How many mortgage officers do you see out? They show up and they accept it every day. And I'm not talking about the hard shit that kicks you. They just show up and they do the thing, and they expect different results based off the mediocre approach that they're taking. But then you have some that shine up and go, no, I'm succeeding at mortgage. I'm also a mother of 2. I'm a wife that's trying to make it. I'm tying hair bows. You have no choice. But the thing about it is that if you thought about it, my question to you is, can you go back to that time when you found out or you knew? Who was that person in your life that gave you some sort of inspiration?
She's a nerd there, that one. Honest to God, it was. She was my first, I think you were my first phone call, Peyton, like even before my mom. You, Vivian, and Renee. Yeah.
So my point behind that is that everybody needs somebody, regardless of what you're going through. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be human. And that was it for me. I'm like, if I could change the complexity of some of these people, like, you got people that come and go, You got people that are in the industry, out the industry, and then you got some that occasionally along the way you'll call you at 8 o'clock crying. Like, I had never thought, I keep names out of it because it was like, I had never thought I keep names out of it. Like, that's what it's all about. Like, that's winning.
Right.
Everybody looks at these things, but hopefully I was that person for her. So maybe I wasn't, but I can tell you what I do know is I damn sure tried to be.
Right.
And hopefully I didn't let her down, or I'm going to let people down, but in the time of it, it's how you react, right? I think that's it is for me, was seeing people walk around just, I don't know what to do, and being that person.
So talking of winning, sorry to interrupt real quick before you topic. So how do you change your mentality from going from instant gratification, like most of the people out there get paid hourly and then get a paycheck every week, every other week, and then switch your own mentality first to where you were just saying, we are so used to winning, go to the store and buy something. We need something, we go there, we buy a car, we buy anything. But in housing, you have to change that mentality. Because you
never know when you're getting
30
paid.
days, but on the 29th day, it may not work anymore. And how do you that instant gratification to where you are right now? And how do you teach your agents to change their mentality as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The big thing about it is you're right. You never know when you're going to get paid. So it first starts with self-discipline. Like, you got to have self-discipline, because it's crazy to me, right? Like, and I tell agents all the time, they can come in and I'll say, here's what I'll do. I'll pay you $1,000 a week. And all I need you to do is put me in front of 3 people. I'm going to give you an entire sheet of people to call. I need you to put me in 3 people. And when you do that, your week's over. If you do that by 10 a.m. on Monday morning, like, take off, you're done for the week. Matter of fact, I'll give you 2,000, because when you look at that and boil that down to the appointments that you're putting me in front of, you're putting me in front of anywhere from $10, $12, $14, $15,000 commission checks. So the question remains is, when are you going to believe in yourself and start making those calls? So the first thing for the self-gratification and to get into what you're talking about is self-discipline. You have to realize that this is a long game, and you have to be smart about what you got. Like, I know agents out there, we all, it's not as bad as I think as it used to be. We all know the agents that close a lot of deals, drive around in a lot of elaborate cars, and it's hard to pay your taxes. You got to be self-disciplined to realize that when I get paid now, I have to put reserves in until I start building it. Once that win happens, though, then it's not the win that promotes you. Like, I want to get somebody to their first win, but it's not the wins that continuously keep driving you to the next appointment, the next closing, the next deal. I think a lot of people don't understand that the winning happens during the failures. And if you can't sit in that, like, any sports fans follow sports? Okay.
Go Dogs.
Okay. On a sports fan, you don't have to be a huge sports fan to understand this analogy. There are 2 teams on opposite sides of the field. And at the end of the game, one of them just won a big trophy and their life changed forever. We're going to Disney World. But on the other side, that same story, that same outcome is defining and shaping the people in that locker room. And it's building them up for the anticipation of the next. So the winning comes in the failures and realizing that, okay, great, I'm one step closer to making it right next time. Sometimes you win, and did you really truly win? Is self-discipline, because you don't know when you're getting paid again. I definitely teach the philosophy of every closing, every every pitcher's shoot that you go on. Whenever those bookings are up, you're unemployed.
All day, every day.
So it's time to wake up and grind. So it's time to wake up and grind. So, but yeah, that's, I guess my answer to that is that the truly successful learn to live in the failures and grow in the failures. Did that answer your question?
Give me a good idea of how identify a little bit with that. I went from probably a lot of people watching us went from an hourly pay to a commission job, and sometimes commission to being in real estate, which is still commission. You get paid every 30 days or however fast you close the deal. But for me, it was very tough. I was on sales for a long time, and I knew how much I could sell. And I knew that if I sold something today, my paycheck was good next week. But in this case, one thing that we mentioned at the beginning is customer service, like how actually your mentality, how you start your day actually has a lot to do with how you close a deal, because you can close a deal and it still be a terrible deal. And that's part of what you were just saying about winning. Do you really win? Because if you close on a home and it was a terrible experience, you're never getting a referral from that person. So I guess that was the hardest part during my transition. It was just trying to make my instant gratification mentality turn into a financial plan, elaborated financial plan to make the pain not as painful because it is. Come on, like you have bills to pay. Everybody does.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, and I appreciate you sharing. I'm trying to think of the best way to go after that. I guess you're right. The instant gratification from receiving a paycheck, and then you're moving into a sales position. What's the best way to overcome that?
To overcome that part, and
to overcome that part of you never know when you're
you
going
know
to
what?
get paid.
I'm still working on that.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Because
that's
I wake up and then look, I didn't get paid last month, so what am I going to do? I'm going to keep grinding until I get a deal, and that deal, I don't know if it's going to close in 30 days, but during those 30 days, I have to give my best customer service just to make sure I secure that deal, and that produces another one.
I love it. Yeah. So just as long as it's okay with you, I always like to ask permission, like just to sit in that moment with you for a minute. So I love that. And I hear it a lot of times, like you're overcoming, you're not knowing when you're getting paid again. And I ask the question of what's the number one way to overcome that? And the answer, in my opinion, is to know when you're getting paid again. And how you get paid again is that you sit in the moments and understand what are you supposed to be doing to get you paid. It's usually what you will find is the people that don't get paid are not following the principles that they know to be true to actually get them paid. If it was me and you are sitting there talking, my question would go, okay, you said you're going to wake up and just grind. I didn't get paid this month. So we're going to take that grind and we're going to break that down. See, that's the power in actually moving forward and getting paid and staying in a business that is unpredictable, but somehow outside people look at you and go, oh my gosh, how did he get it so predictable? Is the principles and the discipline to do the daily activities and not just say, I'm just going to wake up and grind. Great. What does grind mean? Like when you look at schedules, right? Like you come down like this. I use Peyton's seen this probably like a million times, but it's like doing the daily activities that like, this is my day. This is how I break it down. And then you come over here on the side, which I don't know how to do it on my iPad, but then you add my wife's on top of it. And we got to be playing. Why you appreciate, in my opinion, from the moment that me and you are having is that I could see it, hear it, and feel it in your voice that you're wanting to grind and you want to make it happen. And I believe that. It's what are you doing daily? What are you doing hourly to get you closer to where it's not unpredictable anymore? I know that when I wake up from a sales aspect, that I needed to make about 16 contacts to do it. I know what my conversion rate was. I knew what time of the day people were answering the phone and what time they wasn't. I adjusted my day accordingly. And I am a firm believer on using, like Peyton knows this about me, I am a huge believer on 411s. I know exactly what my week looks like. I can flip it over in my book. Even today, I can flip it over in my book and see ultimately from week to week what exactly my week is looking like.
Yeah, for anyone who's listening or even you guys, a 411 is a very Keller Williams specific thing, but it's basically breaking down your week and setting your activity goals for the week.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So that's what I do is how do you go from being hourly to being in a position where you don't know where you're getting paid is it's super, super focused and honed in on the activities that will produce the biggest result. And for me, that's the 411. It is KW organized, but what do you want to accomplish? There's 4 weeks in a month. You know what you need to do. It's detailed. You can make it as detailed and complex as you want. And I think the more detailed and the more complex that you make it, the bigger results you'll have to making the unpredictable predictable.
No, absolutely. This actually,
yeah, that was
this reminds me. Have you guys watched that movie In the Rain? So it's a really nice movie. It's kind of romantic and stuff like that. But there is a specific part in the movie where the wife asks the racer and says, why aren't you afraid like the other drivers in the rain? And the guy says, because they don't know when they're going to slip, when they're going to start drifting, like when the rain is going to influence the tires and you're going to lose control. So what do you do? And he says, I lose control before the rain does it. And then I know exactly what's going to happen next because I'm controlling it. I start drifting before the rain does it. So that I connected that part. I'm not good reading the Bible and understanding like a lot of verses, but I'm good with movies and these kind of things. If somebody wants to watch that and identify that specific part, I think you will feel what I'm feeling right now.
I like that. Yeah, it's so many people when you sit down and talk to whatever industry, whatever profession you're in, like it all starts like I can tell the predictability of success really based off your calendar. To a certain degree.
So what do you mean by that? So let's like that apart a little bit.
Yeah. So when you break that down, like,
sure, go for it.
Using, if it's okay to use you for an example, right? What is the top things that help you support your family?
Is the relationships I've built with all the clients to where I don't have to I no longer have to worry about another cheaper competitor coming in place and filling my role. And because I know that I've spent the last 4 years building really strong relationships with people.
I love that. So
I have to continue with that relationship. I have to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to get a listing so that way I have a photo shoot.
Absolutely. So they get the listing, you built the relationships.
I have to actually show up. I have to be my authentic self during the shoot. If it's, I still have to be the crazy one if I have to do something like that. But I have to bring my A game to every single shoot that I show up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go out, you've created the relationships, you've nurtured it, you've helped them obtain listings. They've got the listings. They called you for your unique nature. You go out, you show up, you shoot it in the most professional way that I know
have to come home and actually do it.
Then what do you have to do after that?
Yeah.
Then you have to come home and actually do it, right?
Yep.
So if I looked at your schedule, if we just ended that conversation right there, if I looked at your schedule, like I should be able to look at it and go, when are you having time on your schedule to nurture and build the relationships that you need to sustain the business that you want that gives you in your house? I should be able to see that. Like you shouldn't just wake up in the morning and go,
Yep.
I don't have a shoot today. You didn't find that out at 7 o'clock in the morning. You knew that yesterday, right? It's learning to,
right.
Yeah. I get it. Like things happen and canceled. The question is that what I like to say is a lot of people are like, oh, yes, sometimes you never know.
Yep.
I mean, I've got a listing. I wake up, something's not right. I have to cancel you.
Bingo.
Right. But those are things that show up. That's back to the original conversation. That's how you react to it. You're looking for the discipline of daily activities, and those are just circumstances that come up. So I say all that to say I should be able to look at that. Like, when are you setting time to nurture on the ones that helped you create the business? When are you having time to yourself for health so that you're actually showing up and being the person that we know you are? When are you actually setting the time together to go, wait a second, I need to figure this out, whether it's Lightroom or the delivery method of how I get the pictures. Like, where is that at? And where am I educating and learning myself to actually be a better editor? And then it goes with the shoot. How am I being proficient? Am I going there and being, shooting the way that I know how to shoot to get the job done so that I can take on more? So I should see that stuff on your schedule. So when you look at it and go, oh, that's great. Like, you talked a lot about nurturing relationships. Like, where do you have time to like take an agent out for lunch for the week? To, hey, how's things going? Is there anything I can do to help? Like whatever. Like you should see those activities. In our world, we call it, me and Peyton throw up on it. It's called top 20%. But the reality is that we find people living in the 80% and not understanding why they're not in the top 20%. And I don't mean by or how much money you make or how successful your business is. Let's relate it down to life. I want to be in the top 20% of the people that I'm around. So those, when I say show up on your calendar, that's what I mean. Like you should be able to time block those things and be very proficient. Like even for me, like I have family time, Tyler, like on mine in the afternoons, 2 days a week. Unacceptable, right? I go to church, I volunteer, like all these different things. People like, you really have to, you really
absolutely
have to time block all that. I always ask them, I go, yeah, for me, I do. My question to you, how is your relationship right now with your kids, your spouse, your friends? How are you showing up? And when you get to a mind frame of time blocking and discipline and staying focused on the things that truly matter to you, take business out of it. You don't even, like in the beginning of the episode, you said whether you got a business or not, or maybe it was paid. But take that out. Like, how are you showing up as a friend? Are you the person that like, I don't hear from for 6 weeks and all of a sudden it's like,
you got a referral for
hey,
me?
just wanted to let you see how you're like, where were you at when I was suffering?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Like, where were you at when I was surfing? Like,
Love it.
That's what I mean by showing up on your calendar. What is the true things? Identifying yourself in your business and what matters in your world. And how are you crunching that down?
Yeah, I think that's what gets me.
The most efficient,
let me hit this one because the thing that gets me, like we're all in these Facebook mastermind groups. The thing that kills me is as soon as I see an agent go, I've had a slow month. What side hustle can I take on? None. You get out there, you get your Rolodex open, you start making some contacts and be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in 2 months. I'm so sorry. Like you need to own it and be like, hey, I haven't followed up. I haven't done XYZ. Like, how can I help you? I think that's where the mentality for me always shifts back to is like, what distractions are out there and how can I get that out of from being a distraction to being like, I need to focus on my actual position to win.
Yeah.
Well, and that feeds back in how you stay top of mind with everybody else, right? So because what's always in the back of my mind is there is nothing other than me keeping someone from coming into this industry and duplicating what I've done, because it's only going to take one person to actually wake up one day and go do what she's done and execute it well. And then that be my competition. Because how many times can you sit in front of a group of people or share, or we can talk about it on the podcast as many times as we want. Like we can share all the secrets of like how you're successful, but 90% of people aren't going to do them. But all it takes is that one person who actually is going to wake up and do it. And so that's what motivates me every day is I have to stay ahead or stay top of mind with the people that I've built the relationship with to avoid that person coming behind me and doing it better than me and being more than I am. Because as much as I want to see other people succeed, I also still need to build a business. So like and keeping your mind right through that too, because you don't want to get completely bogged down with, oh gosh, now what if somebody does come in and they are better than me? And what does that mean? And how am I, and now I suck. And now I need to spend 4 days crying about how I can't function. And I've been there and I get that, but it's doing all these things that we've talked about and staying ahead of all of that so that your mind doesn't go into that place. I feel like that, if anything, is the secret sauce of why people are successful and other people aren't.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, you want to hear my story? It just happened. I texted Christian. I was like, just lost a $600,000 doctor loan to a bank. But I'm just like, at the same time, I'm like, okay, that one's gone. So
next,
you can't focus on that. It would have been
And I think that's the hardest part of our industry, right? Is control what other people do.
Overlays.
What somebody else says. Yeah. So you can't control what your competitors are offering. You can't control what
my company has, whatever.
Are impacted by. Yeah. So like all you can do is your best and hope that's enough. But when it's not, keep yourself ready to be able to say, next, and not be like, well, that sucks. And now I can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And then be that person that shows up in the Facebook group says like,
I
well,
need a side
didn't make any
hustle.
money, so now what do I need to do? Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing, Megan, if you don't mind me like talking, which is such a perfect thing. I love your attitude on that, right? I got to move on to the next one because there's other people out there that are waiting on you to perform, right? So a lot of times when you look at it from all of our aspects, whether it's a deal with Peyton or if it's a shoot with Ty, like it doesn't matter. Mortgages for you, it really doesn't matter, right? Here's what I do know: whenever that happens, is man, if I don't get this next house closing, like things are going to be bad. Great. I can guarantee you've lost aspect of your top 20. If I don't close this, if I don't get this drone shoot, they throw in a video and I get extra paid on this and this doesn't happen, like I'm going to be in great. You're probably not focusing on your 20%. Same thing in the mortgage industry, right? You're not focusing. So you don't have a problem. You have a lead generation problem. You have I don't know how to sustain a healthy, sustainable business problem, right? Because here's how I know, and I know we talked about service-driven mindsets, but it boils down pretty simple, right? You got to build relationships. You got to be enhanced at problem solving and be able to be service-oriented in that. You got to have some sort of leadership development for yourself. Like you got to be a leader for yourself. You got to be customer-centric. You got to how can I increase the customer experience? And you got to be able to personally fulfill your own motivation to drive you to get the next deal. And when you can do those things, like it's just that simple. So super cool that like I had that right on the cusp of throwing down her holy moment, because it's true, right? It's the next one, and that's the attitude. Mm-hmm. And that just didn't. A lot of times, I think that it's okay to people like I'm not like that. Great. What do you aspire to be? That's not in my DNA. Great. What do you aspire to be? Maybe you wake up one day and be faced with the problems that you did.
Right.
But at the end of it, you know what? It doesn't define you. It's probably going to grow you into the person that you've always wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too. So super, super cool.
Any final thoughts or things that you feel are really important to share about mindset that you feel like people need to know?
Yeah, my final thought on mindset is just wake up every day and choose. Like you get the choice. Wake up every day and choose. And I think the biggest thing that I can say is when you're starting that journey of creating having on the third is give yourself grace. Like you're going to make mistakes and people are not going to always be happy with you. And that's okay. Then from where they're at, that's the big thing. Give yourself grace. Wake up every day. Choose to do the right thing. Be a productive human in society, and just realize that everything will work out the way that it's supposed to work out. And as long as at the end of the day, I can look at myself and my family and say that I've been a good person, it's okay. I tell my son all the time, show me your friends, show me your 5 friends, and I'll show you your future. And it's the same way with us. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with people that drive and push you to be successful, and not just, oh, I love you, you're such a great person. Hey, you're making a mistake here. Let's talk about it. Tell me what your thought process is. How can I help you grow? If that is the right decision, how can I support you? So be careful of those who you surround yourself with, and surround yourself with positive people that share the same ambitions that you are. That's my closing.
Jake, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know this was just always a good reminder for me to hear these things, but I hope that people can feel the passion and the drive and why you are who you are, because this is not, I can attest to this, he's not putting something on because he's on the podcast. This is who Jake is 24/7. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, we always talk about this, but if you're listening to this and you're like, damn, taking notes, or feel like you've just been hit in the face with all the things that you need to do to be successful, then I know Jake or I would love to chat with you about how you can be part of this culture that we have here, because this is what we live in. What you're experiencing right now is what we work in every day. That's why I thought it was really important to make sure that we brought it on the podcast, because not what most people live in every day. Having access to it, I thought was really important. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. Y'all are some amazing human beings, and keep doing what you're doing.
Guys,
Awesome.
every
Well, Tyler, you wanna
Tuesday,
close?
in your face and in your ears. Boom. I remembered it.
That's
yeah,
right.
we're always on your audio
You
feeds,
remembered.
wherever you listen to your podcast or want to watch us sit here and see what faces we make every single week. But every Tuesday, a new episode drops, and always just plug into our social media channels to find out where you can find us. I appreciate you so much for coming on. See you.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.